Good evening, everyone, and thank you for joining me. Let me just start by saying hello to everyone that is here. This was a last minute idea. Last minute, I didn't I wasn't really prepared for this one. So I just figured I'll do something on a Friday night because I was bored. So anyway, I want to say hello to Bay Watcher. I want to say hello to Osada Treats. Osada, hang around because I got a surprise for you and everybody else here. Michael Mormile, good to see you. Tommy Stiggs, how are you? I see Kelly, and I see Patty Daly was here. I don't know if she still is, but she was here earlier. But thank you guys for stopping in. I really appreciate it. Um, I'm in my Christmas spirit here. I have my lights up, I have my hat on, and I have a nice cup of spiked eggnog. Delicious. But so tonight is about A Christmas Carol. Charles Dickens is classic, and I wanted to delve into it a little bit and see what the backstory was behind this. And I found out some interesting stuff that I want to share with you. But before I do that, and since Osada is here, I wanted to taste some chocolate of his live here with you guys because he was nice enough to send me these selection, and it's pretty awesome because I'll sneak it and I'll tell you I have tasted it and it's excellent. But I want to taste it on live here so you guys can see it. He sent this all the way across the country for me to taste, which is great. And I wanted to share it with you guys. Now, the first one that I have here is white chocolate peppermint bark with dark chocolate peppermint roca. Now, this is the type of stuff that he makes. This is some awesome stuff. You can't find this in the store, this stuff. So this one, let's see if you can get a good look at that. Look at that bark. That is delicious just to look at. It's got pieces of chocolate in there. It's got pieces of candy cane in there. And it's white chocolate underneath. Amazing. Now, I traditionally don't like, bark in general, but this is excellent. I love this. That was the white chocolate peppermint bark. Pretty darn awesome. That's one of them. Now, here we have chocolate covered peanuts. Simple, right? But it's done with his chocolate. Look at these clusters. Look at that's amazing. Look at, you could see the peanuts hanging out of them. The chocolate is so creamy and smooth. Excuse me, I'm going to have a drink here. But thank you guys for joining. Anyone who has come in since the last time I said, hi, Gina, how are you? Good to see you. And anyone who is just joining, I'm tasting Osada's chocolates that he sent me, which are awesome. Now, this one is chocolate caramel covered pecan clusters. Now, there's only one left, which means somebody's been eating them. And it wasn't me. I think it was my daughter who was home from college. And she snuck in here and ate it. But here's the last one. There's a good look at that. Look at that. Great. Great stuff. And now, this one, chocolate toffee bark, which is pretty amazing. Now, I'm going to give you a little secret. This one's my favorite because I've tasted them already. This one is definitely my favorite. This This is just amazing. This is so good. You can't get this anywhere. Hey, Todd Father, how are you? Good to see you. Now, Asada, I don't know if you have the a website set up, but if you should definitely do it and ship this stuff around because this is awesome. I know people will definitely buy this stuff. It's great. And then he also sent me these chocolate covered pretzels, which I'm not going to open up and eat, but I'm going to save them. And then I have these pretzels, which are white chocolate with peppermint candy canes on them in pretzels. It's awesome. Just awesome stuff. So thank you so much. Thank you, Jason Osada. This is awesome. I really appreciate it. And like I said, I'd love to help promote I hope this gives you some promotion if you're interested in getting, your stuff shipped all over the place, because people will definitely buy it, because this is all they have to do is taste it, and it beats anything you'll get in the store, without a doubt. So let me say hello. Hey, Adam, how are you? Big Bones, good to see you. Anyone else? Baywatcher. Yeah. So now, Baywatcher, I know you said something about. Hold on. I saw you say something about you're reading the Nutcracker. Is that what I saw? Oh, it was reading up on nutcrackers, originated in Germany regions. Yes. Okay. I'm sure it was a Prussian influence. Yeah. No. Absolutely. You're absolutely right. I haven't specifically looked into that myself, but for some reason I thought you were reading the ballet. I was like, I didn't even know there was something you could read about the Nutcracker. Maybe there is, but yeah, absolutely German influence, without a doubt. Arlene Merlino, how are you, my friend? Good to see you. On the eggnog I'm drinking is Turkey Hill eggnog, and I have a little shot of cognac in it, so it's spiked. But anyway, it's delicious. All that chocolate is delicious. I hope Osada gets that up and running, gets a website up and running, and I highly recommend you guys checking it out. It's awesome stuff. Like I said, you can't get it in the store. You can't get its equal in the store. So anyway, so let's talk about my subject. And thank you all for stopping in, hanging out with me a little bit. So we all grew up with The Christmas Carol by Charles Dickens. And generations have been growing up with it since it was written in 1843. Dickens, obviously from England, and the story takes place in England. And, the background behind the whole writing of the story was that he was in dire straits financially, and he had to come up with something. He had been a writer, obviously, before, but hadn't had a hit book in a while. Hadn't had a bestseller type book, and he needed to come up with something. And this was his inspiration, The Christmas Carol. And some people say that it was based on a real person and a real ghost encounter, which is why I think it's appropriate to talk about on my Friday Night Ghost Stories. So, what's the story? Well, the story begins when supposedly Charles Dickens was walking through Old Edinburgh Cemetery on a cold winter night, and he stumbles across, he was cutting through the cemetery as a shortcut, and he stumbled across an old tombstone, kind of tripped, stumbled on it, knocked some of the snow off, and on the tombstone, it read, Ebenezer Scroggie. And below it, it said, Meal Man. And the reason it said Meal Man is because the man, this Ebenezer Scroggie in life, was a corn salesman, cornmeal. He would sell cornmeal. So he was considered a meal man. Well, Dickens misread it and thought it said mean man. And then that caused the idea to pop into his head, like, what kind of a miserable person would have been buried, had been so miserable to have their tombstone say a mean man on it. And at the time in Old English, this is another fact, in Old English, mean really had a dual connotation. It had a connotation of cheapness. In addition, mean, we don't think of that in this day and age. We think of mean as just a mean person, a bad, cruel person. Whereas in Old English, it also meant someone who was very cheap. They were mean. By the way, I almost forgot my candle. We cannot have a discussion about Ebenezer Scrooge without an Ebenezer Scrooge candle. Absolutely. So let me light this. Let's get this lit. I see Gerard came into the chat. Hello, Gerard. Good to see you, my friend. Stephen Morinello. Good to see you. Let's get this going. Let's get this going. There we go. Let's go. Here we go. There we go. Thank you, 15 guys. 15 people hanging out with me. Thank you, guys. Appreciate it. Craig Gatto in the house. Good to see you. What is going on with my candle today, guys? What is going on here? It's not catching. I'm going to get some of that wax off of it a little bit here. Get it going. Because we cannot have ghost stories or talk of ghosts without candlelight, right? And especially Christmas too, right? You got to have candlelight on Christmas. Anyway, so there's your candle. It's lit. We're ready to go. And you see anyone else that I miss in the chat? I do not want to miss anyone. So just pausing for a second to say hello. Anyone who I have not, I apologize, who haven't mentioned you, because I want to recognize each and every one of you, because I appreciate each and every one of you for being here. So anyway, the story is, like I said, that the idea came from Dickens's misreading of a tombstone. And he took the name Scroggy and he changed it into Scrooge. And that was the basis for the idea of the name, right? And that it would be the person named Scrooge would be someone who's cheap, mean. He was mean back in the old term, in the old meaning of cheapness. Now, but was there a real Scrooge? Aside from this is the idea for the book. It came up. And that's how he obtained the idea. But what about Scrooge? Was there an actual Scrooge? Was there actually someone that acted the way we see in the movies? And if we read the book, how he was, that inspired this ghostly tale? Well, many people say, yes, there was a real Scrooge. And it wasn't the guy in the tombstone. Like I said, the guy in the tombstone was just a mistaken identity type of thing. Now, the real life Scrooge, many think, was a man by the name of John Elwes. And he was born in 1714, lived in England, and many considered him to be the world's most famous miser, like the cheapest person to ever live. Hey, Paul, how are you? And now, John Elwes wasn't his original name. He was born John Maggot, but his father dies when he's 4 years old. And his father was quite wealthy. His father was a famous brewer, in the brewery in London. And he left him the equivalent of $10 million. So at 4 years old, John, who would become John Elwes, was a millionaire, basically. He was rich at 4 years old because his father died and left him this. His mother also died. So he was basically an orphan, and he was raised by other members of his family. Now, I actually have a picture, or, there were no pictures back then, but there's a painting of him, which I'm going to share with you guys so you can see who I'm talking about here. This is him. This is, let me see if I can make this. That doesn't make him much bigger. But that's what he looked like. That was John Megget, who eventually turns into John Elwes. That's what he looked like. That was the cheapest man that ever lived. Now I'm going to tell you why he's the cheapest man in a second. Let me remove that. There we go. So now here's an example. He's 4 years old and he inherits this money, and he grows up well to do. He grows up fine, easy life. To the point when he becomes an adult, he begins to find out that he has an uncle on his mother's side who is even wealthier than his father. And his uncle was a man by the name of Harvey Elwes. And he was actually a knight, Sir Harvey Elwes. He was knighted by the Queen. And this guy had 23 million, the equivalent of $23 million in today's, as part of his wealth. And he had no children. So what does John Elwes do? John Maggot does. He changes his name to John Elwes and begins a life of sucking up to his uncle in hopes of inheriting all of this money. And he's quite successful because when his uncle dies, he inherits. He's the sole heir and inherits all this money. So he becomes even richer. And now here's some examples of how he was. We've all seen the various renditions of Scrooge and the things that he would act like, the cheapness and such. Did I say hi to you, Paul? I think I did. Paul C. Good to see you. Here's some examples of the stuff he would do. All right. He and his uncle, when his uncle was still alive, he and his uncle would share a single glass of wine. That was their activity. They wouldn't have 2 glasses of wine. They would share a single glass of wine in order to save money. They'd split a glass of wine. That would be their entertainment. He would eat roadkill as a meal. So he would go out into the street and look to see if any animals were run over by carriages. And he would take it home, skin it, cook it, and eat it because it would be free and he wouldn't have to spend money on it. He would eat moldy and rotting food. Whenever a butcher or a grocer would throw out moldy or rotting food, he'd be there and he would get that and bring it home with him. And that's what he would eat in order to not spend money on real food. He wore raggedy clothes that he never changed, wore them out, like to the point that they were rags. He would not buy new clothes. And he had a wig. And at the time, the men at that time wore wigs, right? The early 1700s all the way up until, the early 1800s, they wore wigs. He found his wig. He wouldn't buy a wig. He found his wig that someone threw out and left in the bushes near his house. And he kept that wig for his entire life. That was the wig he wore. He would walk in the rain. He'd rather walk in the rain than take and pay for a carriage or a coach to take him around. So he'd walk in the rain, he'd become soaking wet, and wherever he went, he would refuse to start a fire and dry off his clothes because it would cost money to start a fire. You have to pay for wood or coal, and he wasn't going to do that. So he would sit in his wet clothes until they naturally dried. Because of that, he would get sick a lot, obviously, but these are some of the things that he would do. He lived in a very big mansion, which his uncle left him, and by all accounts, it was a very beautiful place. It had beautiful furniture in it, but he refused to spend a dime on it. So as time went on, it began to deteriorate. Holes in the roof, rain would come in, and most of the furniture would get destroyed over time because he was too cheap to fix the roof, and he didn't care. He just wanted his money. There's a story that one night, he would never use candles, so he would go to bed at sundown because he didn't want to spend the money to light a candle. So he would go make sure he was in bed whenever when the sun went down, that was it. He was going to bed, and he wouldn't come up until he was up again. Edwin, good to see you. Don McHugh, good to see you. And there was one time, because he would never use a candle, that he was walking around at night. I guess he got caught at work or wherever his office was, and he had to walk home in the dark, and he would not light a candle or a lantern to light his way. So he ends up falling and cutting his legs on something. I don't know if it was bushes or whatever it was. He cut his legs to the point that he needed medical attention. And he went to an apothecary who was going to treat it. Now, he made a deal with the apothecary. He said, I only pay you for one leg. So only treat one leg. But if the untreated leg heals faster than that, you owe me the money back for the treatment. And if it doesn't, then I'll pay you for the other leg, even though you didn't treat it. Well, his leg that wasn't treated healed 2 weeks faster, and he actually showed up on the apothecary's door knocking to get his money back for the treatment he received. So these are the extent that this man would go to. It was an obsession with money and an obsession with never spending a dime or never spending a pence on anything. Hi, Tony, the Night Owl. Good to see you. I haven't seen you in a while. Geez, I thought I had a cheap streak. Yeah, we all do, right? When you hear that, you're not cheap anymore. You're a big spender. Now this guy was quite successful, right? He had all this money. He also made quite smart investments with his money. He was in Parliament. He was elected to Parliament, and he served 12 years. And he was a member of the Tory party. Now, at the time, there were Tories and Whigs. Tories were more of the conservative, and Whigs were kind of the liberal at the time. Tories being more, towards the crown, whereas Whigs were more the Democrats, more the democratic nature, not Democrat like today. Democrat versus monarchy. And he was a Tory, but he was notorious for voting with the Whigs if the measures they wanted to pass would save money. So it didn't matter what his loyalty was, what his party was, or what his ideology was. If the other party was proposing something that would save the spending of money or cut the spending, he would go with them. And they joked, the Tories joked and said, well, we'd call him a turncoat, but we all know he only has one coat, so he can't be a turncoat. So that was the big joke that went on, because we'd only wear one coat. He was so cheap and he looked in such a disheveled manner that people mistaken him for a beggar and would come up to him and give him money. And he, of course, would take it. He would take it. This is a guy that in today's world had the equivalent of $35 million sitting in the bank, and he would take people's pence that they gave him because they thought he was poor. So this is the guy that we're talking about that was the inspiration for Scrooge. Now, so he was cheap. Okay, but Scrooge is a lot more, and there's a lot more to the story, obviously, right? There was a lot more to the story. And how we all know the story of how the ghosts come and meet him at night on Christmas Eve through the night into Christmas Day, and they have such an impression on him, and it turns him, it changes him. Well, it's said that something like this did happen to John Elwes, but it didn't have the same effect. So it was said that he had visions. He had visions that he was visited, and he had visions that told him he had to be more generous. And he did just do that. He did do that. Now, he never changed his personal cheapness. That's the difference between the fictional Scrooge and the real Scrooge. He became very generous with friends, with people he knew, but he would always be cheap with his personal self. He just couldn't get it in him. He just couldn't find it in him to spend any money on himself. So he's said to have loaned a friend £7,000, which is a lot of money there, just to bet on gave him £7,000 just to bet on a horse in a horse race that was happening, and that he refused to take the money. When the guy won, he refused to take any of the money from him because this was his friend. and would only and he said that he went to they said he went to the racetrack to watch the race, but he refused to eat anything all day except for an old pancake that he found in the pocket of his jacket that was weeks old. That's what he ate because he wasn't going to spend any more money. But he gave this friend £7,000 to just on a whim. On a whim. He was also responsible for many generous donations to London, where it is said that his grants helped the architect by the name of Robert Adam uh, produce the grand architecture that's still there today. He financed parts of Portman Square, Oxford Circus, Piccadilly Square, Baker Street. Um, just because he wanted to, just because he wanted to be generous and help this architect build these wonderful things that are still there today. So he did turn into a better person, I guess. But he didn't turn into the really great person that you see as Scrooge. And, he still was a miser when it came to himself. He was, but very generous with others, though. So it's kind of interesting to hear that story as the backdrop for the story that we all know and have heard for so many years. Now, here's another interesting fact. Now, the original Scrooge, right? I told you his name was John Elwes. He is related, or he is an ancestor of, and I'm going to show you right now. I'm going to see if you remember this guy. He's an ancestor of this guy right here. Now, I don't know if you recognize this guy. He is a famous actor. His name is Cary Elwes, and you'll know him from the most famous movie that he was in, which was The Princess Bride. So this guy is a direct descendant of John Elwes. Has the same name, but he's a direct descendant of him. So I thought that was pretty interesting, that this English actor is related to the original Scrooge. Righty. So some people say that there was another person also that Dickens based his Ebenezer Scrooge on, another person by the name of Jemmy Wood, who was known as the Gloucester Miser. He was also a guy that was very cheap, but he didn't have anything, and he ran the Gloucester Old Bank. So that part maybe he took from that because it's Scrooge. Scrooge is a money changer and money handler. But the all the rest of the story, the whole changing and the generosity of that didn't occur in Jemmy Wood's situation. So I don't really know if that's true. I tend to go with the John Elwes story as the basis for him. So I know we've all seen the Christmas Carol many times, and I don't know what your favorite version of it is, but my favorite version of I'm going to share with you, and I'm sure people have seen this because it's very famous. I mean, there's been so many versions over the years, so many renditions of it. I mean, I think the movie rendition started in 1934 or 1933, something like really early. But my favorite version is, hold on a second here, this guy right here. This guy was Scrooge. And this guy he was also a famous English actor, Alistair Sim, by the name of Alistair Sim. And that movie, I watch it every year at Christmas. It's just, to me, it's an amazing movie. It's all in black and white. It's from 1951, but it looks a lot older. To me, it looks like it could be in the 30s, but it's from 1951. And to me, he is the embodiment of Scrooge. He is, you can't beat it. You can't beat it. People have tried over the years, but in my opinion, my humble opinion, you can't beat Alistair Sim's version of him. You don't see it on too often. Once in a while, you'll see it on, but and I actually I bought it on DVD last year because I like it so much. But when you think about the whole concept of Dickens's novel and what is it about? What is it there for? What is it there for? It's there for the purpose of showing redemption, right? It's the purpose of showing that people can change. People that are bad, people that are mean, people that are living a life that that Jesus wouldn't agree with, that Christians shouldn't agree with, can change. And you see that in Scrooge, someone who was so mean and so miserly has this awakening. And how does he have this awakening? He has it because he's visited by three spirits, three ghosts: the ghost of Christmas past, the ghost of Christmas present, and the ghost of Christmas future. And to me, I always thought of those ghosts. Those ghosts to me are more like angels than they are traditional ghosts, right? Ghosts are there to scare you, or people that are trapped, souls that are trapped, etc. But these guys are on a mission. They're sent they're sent by God to better people, to awakening people, to help people open their hearts to Jesus, understand the true meaning of Christmas, and become better people. So they're messengers of God, which are angels. And you have the ghost of Christmas past, which is an old man, and basically shows him all his past, shows him all the things he went through, and really uses the tool of what is the tool that he uses for that? It's reminiscence, and melancholy thoughts, and showing him how he was at one point, how he wasn't always this way, and showing him how the change happened. He's showing him explanation as to how he changed and why he changed. Showing him his sister, showing him him as a child, bringing about those fond memories of when his soul was pure. I mean, this is just classic. And it's amazing to think of this, that a human, to me at least, it's amazing to think of someone that could create this. Dickens was just amazing to me, and obviously the the whole goal of this it was really an indictment of the culture at the time, of poor working conditions, of exploitation of people for the sake of the Industrial Revolution. And it wasn't over the top. I mean, these were legitimate gripes, of man's inhumanity to man. And this was the best way to show it through this process. That people shouldn't treat people like that. People shouldn't exploit people. Hi, TT. Good to see you, my friend. So happy you could join. And Arlene, I think I saw Arlene before. Yeah, I think I said hello to Arlene. Yeah, I definitely did. So, and then you have the ghost of Christmas present. And Ghost of Christmas Present kind of looks like Santa Claus. He's always shows like Santa Claus, right? He's bringing cheer. He's jolly, and he shows the dichotomy of people suffering present day and people celebrating present day. He's showing him how you don't have to be this way. You can be this way. There's all types. People are, and showing the reality of the cruelty that is out there that Scrooge may not really realize, because he's one step away from it, right? He's living the life he wants to as a miser, but it's because he can do that. He has the money to do that. He's not poor. He doesn't have to beg. He doesn't have to work to the bone for no money. He does this because he has to. He has tons of money, but so this is basically showing him what the negative that's out there that his deeds are doing presently, and then also showing him that there can be happiness even with those deeds. There's happiness. He shows him the Cratchit family and how they are happy on Christmas. They have nothing, but they're happy just because it's Christmas. And then finally, you have the ghost of Christmas future, who is basically the Grim Reaper. And this is the omen of where you're going. This is the kicker. This is it. Look, if you continue on this route, this is where you're going to end up. You're going to lose your soul, and it's not going to be pleasant. So it, they show him. So basically, these angels show him why he's this way, that he doesn't have to be this way, that there's options, and if he chooses the wrong options, this is what's going to happen. So it's genius. It's a genius idea by Dickens. It just amazes me. It's stupendous. And I also forgot about Marley, who is his partner, right? The ghost of Marley. Marley is someone who acted like he was, someone that cared nothing about others except monetary gain. That's all he cared about. And he's suffering for it. He's suffering it in the afterlife. But he is willing, so there's a goodness in him that he's willing to come and try to save his friend. So that you also have the demonstration of friendship and how someone is willing to take steps even when it's too late for him to help another. And that also is an essence of Christian beliefs and what Jesus would want. So it's basically a manual. I mean, this story is basically a manual for redemption, and that there's always hope for the future, that you can always come to God, come to Jesus. I mean, it's very, very powerful story. And it's obvious how it resonates over the years. So from that angle, I will always love this. And like I've said before, I love the writing. I love the language that's used. It's just amazing. And in the end, obviously, Scrooge turns around. He comes awakening. And on that Christmas day, he awakens and he thanks God that it's not too late. And I always thought, like, how wonderful would this be if this is actually happening out there? If people are actually having these awakenings by the help of these angels sent by a higher power, how awesome would that be? That always got to me, and why I like it so much. So those are my thoughts on the Christmas Carol itself, and the origin of it, and whether you think Lewis Elwes, if you think John Elwes was the original Scrooge or not, you can't deny that it's an amazing story, and that it has had such an impact over the years. It's how many years old now? Well, it's 180 years old, something like that. It's almost 200 years old. It's getting there. We're getting close. Gianni, how are you, my friend? Good to see you. Johnny, you missed me. You missed me tasting Osada's chocolate that he sent me. So go back and look at it. Some good stuff. Good stuff there. So I'm going to put this link in the chat because I think, in case someone wants to come up by the name of Todd Father, because I think he may want to come up. So I'm going to put this in here. I see that he's in the chat. So if he wants to come up, it's there. Hey, Tony Silo, how are you? Good to see you. Merry Christmas to you and yours. And Merry Christmas to everybody here. All righty, here we go. Hello there. How are you doing?
Good evening.
What are you up to?
Nothing. I'm sitting here on my couch with both dogs. My wife and daughter are out. My son is up in his room, and I'm just having a drink and a story with you.
Nice. All right. Cool.
I am not prepared to be on camera, so I apologize.
That's fine. That's fine. So what do you think? What do you think? Do you think John Elwes was the real Scrooge?
I mean, a lot of things seem pretty parallel with that. I've been on this earth for 43 years, and I've never heard this. I've never heard this information, and I think it's great. I want to share this after I won't even share it like on my other social platforms because, I don't think a lot of people know this stuff. You know
Yeah,
what I mean?
yeah, yeah.
I mean, I know that you're a lawyer right now, but I think you could have been a news reporter or an anchor or a movie voiceover narrator like a Morgan Freeman or possibly a teacher. I mean, you really, really do. I'm sure everybody in the chat can agree with me, but you really do have a knack for telling this stuff very good.
Well,
And
thank you.
believe me, man, I wouldn't. I could not. Everyone's go back to school for this or go. You know what? I couldn't sit through a class, but I can sit through your story, so that's a good thing. So,
Well, thank you. I
so
appreciate that.
no, I really, and I think this is a nice treat, for all of us at the end of the week, just to relax and
Hmm.
uh, it's different than what we all do. You know what I mean? So,
Right.
um, so it's appreciated, anyways.
Well,
Um,
thank you.
yeah. So, but
Um,
yeah, I mean, that is some pretty crazy information. I mean, what were you gonna ask? Go ahead.
no. I was just going to say that I've thought about being a teacher many times, just because I just love to share information and stuff like
Yeah.
that. It's something I like to do. And I was thinking about maybe going to be a college professor when it's time for me to end what I'm doing now. But who knows? We'll see what happens. But
I don't think it would be a bad idea. I mean, obviously, you said you've coached, all your sons and
Mhm.
sports teams and whatnot, so it's in you for sure. You know what I mean? Um,
So I mean, like
but
this is like this is my version, or this is my copy of the Christmas Carol. It's just a little, and I got it very cheaply at Barnes and Noble. I think it was like $3 a couple of years ago when
yeah,
I bought it, and it's this. There's times if you read Dickens in general, like some of his novels can be a bit tough to read because of the old English that's used. This one, it has some of that in it, but for the most part, it's an easy read, and I would recommend people read it because it's enjoyable. It keeps your attention, and there's parts in it that they don't show you in movies. Like they just can't. They can't. It's much like The
right.
Godfather and our Godfather shows. Like there's so much you can't put in a movie. Um, like there's a part in here that describes Scrooge as kind of like a supervillain, like he's impervious to cold, and that's why he doesn't need coal, he doesn't need a fire because he's not affected by the cold. And I just thought that was so interesting that
Yeah,
he's not just a regular guy; he's like supernatural almost, and that he's
it's cool that
unaffected.
you got all those books and everything behind you because you know what? I'm not the type of guy that sits and reads a book. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
It's a real dying thing. You know what I mean? You could basically like speak into your TV remote and say play Scrooge and it'll come
yeah,
on. You know what
hmm
I mean? So I mean, it's definitely it's
yeah.
definitely a whole
Listen,
different.
listen. I'm a realist. I understand that, but I just try to encourage people to do it because I think
No, I
it's
think it's great. My
yeah.
wife reads. She gets a book sent every month. She
Oh
reads
yeah,
all the time. Yep.
that's great. That's
I don't
great.
know what she's reading about, to be honest with you, but you know. uh, but you know, but yeah, I picked up my ugly sweater for our show Sunday night.
Nice.
It's a Buffalo Bills themed ugly
Ah, very
sweater. So that's for you, Tony Silo. I see what you wrote there. I'm gonna try to stay on topic here. Um,
Hey,
but
just
I'll tell
chilling.
you,
Good to see you.
you know, and I'm not trying to bash any wealthy people, but it kind of seems like they are the cheapest,
Mm,
no matter what. I mean, I sold cars, I sold electronics. I mean, even with my DJ business, same thing. And even something is like when I had the restaurant, somebody would come, I would cash them out, and they'd say, "Oh, let me grab another blue cheese," and they expect you to give it to them, or "Hey, let me
yeah.
grab a side of this," or "Let me grab a side of that." You know what I mean? Just so yeah, people are brutal.
It's
People
funny
can be
because my grandmother used to say, "Well, that's why they're rich because they're so cheap."
right. Absolutely. Their wallets open and you hear a creaking noise, man. It's
Eh,
just
or the moths flying out of it once it opens.
I had a
Yeah.
guy I had a guy about 10 years ago. My wife asked me to go out on a double date. I think I've told this story before, but we went on a double date with this older couple. I mean, they're older than us anyways.
Hmm.
And it was just supposed to be a couple drinks, say hello, good night, and that's it. So the girls got hungry. All right, we'll get a couple appetizers, no big deal. And then, so when it was time to go, the bill came. All right, it was like $80. That's it, with the drinks, with the food, whatever.
Not
It's $80.
Yeah.
Right. So the girls go to the bathroom. The tab comes on the table, and the guy didn't reach for it, so I reached for it. Not, you know what I'm saying? It was like one of those moments. You know what I mean? It's weird.
Yep.
So I grabbed it. Now I know this guy drove a brand new Harley. He pulled in with a brand new Chevy 2500 truck. The guy did well for himself. You know what I'm saying? He earned it. You know what I mean? So I'm holding the tab, and he's just like staring off in the air, just staring off.
Yep.
And I'm like, this MFer is gonna make me pay for it. So I pay for it. We're saying our goodbyes, and my wife's friend said, "Hey, did you pick up the tab? Did you get it?" I said, "Yeah, I got it. Don't worry about it." She goes, "Oh, let me give you some money." And I said, "No, it's okay. Just, you know what? Buy my wife lunch. No big deal."
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Right.
Meanwhile, I'm on fire inside. You know what I mean?
I'm sure you are.
Because because I've heard stories about this guy before. You know what I mean?
Alligator arms.
Yeah. And then the guy goes, "You know what, Todd, take the money." So he's letting her give me money.
Yeah.
He goes, and I was selling cars at the time.
Mm-hmm.
He goes, "Hey, listen, you're only selling Chevys. You're not selling Cadillacs." That's what he said to me.
Oh, wow.
There was a big like a big fire, like a gas powered, natural gas fire. I wanted to dunk his face right in it. I said, I got to get out of here. My wife just grabbed me and just pushed me to the car. We haven't been out with them since.
That's tough. That's tough to deal with, because listen, I'm kind of like Scrooge in the sense that I'm not really cheap, but I'm cheap with myself, but I'm more generous with other people. Like
well, me too.
I don't even think twice about picking up a tab or giving out gifts. Like I give out to the people that work for me. I give them gifts every year for Christmas, and I don't expect anything back from them at all. Absolutely not. But like, I never buy anything for myself. Well, like I just don't. I don't do that. So I don't know.
Tony Silo says that's why they're rich, homie. Well, you must be one of them then.
Yeah.
What's it called?
That's what you call a cheap skate. He's skating.
Oh, yeah. Like I said, I just, and then I threw a big party for my wife's 40th birthday, and he was there, and I almost said my microphone was broken because we did karaoke that night, and the guy wouldn't get off the microphone. Like it was just irking me. Mm-hmm. This guy, but whatever. I just thought that was a funny story. But no, like I said, even when I had the restaurant, people, they pick up their pizza and wings. Oh, let me get a side of this. Let me, give me another dressing, or, it's like, come on, man. Like, you know what I mean? Like, and then it's funny because you'd be like, oh, that's an extra 75 cents at the time. Now it's like $1.50 probably. Right, hey, that's an extra 75 cents. You know what? Don't even worry about it. Yeah. All right. Get out. You know what I mean?
Right. Yep.
But then, I'd have a 16-year-old girl at the counter cashing, and he'd try to do that to them.
That's ridiculous.
You know what I mean?
That's terrible.
So
no, it's terrible. I mean, I don't know. I have a couple of friends that are that way, and I tolerate them only because they've been in my life. They've been part of my life, my whole life. I know them since second grade and stuff. And we call them T-Rex arms or alligator arms because they'll never reach for the check ever. And I don't get it. I just don't get it. I get it when we were kids because you only had so much money, when you would split the check. Okay, everyone, I put in this much. I put in this much. I spent this much. But you don't do that as an adult. You don't do that.
Yeah.
Stuff. Come on.
Yeah, it was just, and like I said, it wasn't, they invited us out that night.
Right.
You know what I mean? So.
I mean, the other thing I always get a little bit uncomfortable with is knowing when to let the other person pay the check when they want to. You know what I mean? Because it's so uncomfortable. Like, they'll want to do it, and then this just back and forth type of thing. I'll do it. You'll do it. I'll do it. I'll do it. I'll do it. And I'm like, come on.
But one of the good things is now is like, we go out with people still, and a lot of times these restaurants now are so good about splitting the checks. So that's that, that stuff,
Yep.
was kind of that awkwardness is, not existent as much. You know what I mean? So, but then again, anytime we've all gone out as a group, we've just split the bill. If it's six, if it's, 6 people, we'll split it 3 ways or 6 ways, whatever.
Right.
You know what I mean? But don't be that guy that orders, $100 worth of food and everybody else is ordering 15. You know what I mean? So,
the other thing.
so I mean, it's all, it's all who you're with, I guess.
Yeah. I mean, splitting the check is absolutely fine, and I'm totally on board with that. It's just when the calculator comes out. Well, mine costs $13.15.
Oh.
So here it is. Let me get the cents out. I mean, get out of here. Yeah. I mean, that's ridiculous.
Yeah, no. We have those people. Believe me, you know what I mean. We have those kinds of friends. It's unfortunate, but there's always one.
Yeah.
There's always one. Just like just like the blue jeans guy at a wedding. You know what I mean? There's always one. So no, but that's cool. And this has been cool. I never thought that all this time I never knew it related to an actual person.
Well, I didn't either. I just on a whim, I researched it. I really had no idea. And then I said, you know what? Most things probably have a backstory that's based in some type of reality. So I looked it up, and that's what I found. And it was so interesting to me that it's what I thought. I mean, it was based on something. I mean, you got to think about it. In order for a writer to produce constantly, you got to come up with ideas from reality. You can't just create everything yourself. You have to come up with and base it on experienced. So
no doubt. I forgot I was just going to say to you. Oh, so maybe instead of wearing my ugly sweater on Sunday for our show. By the way, I don't know if you mentioned it earlier, but 8:00 on Stiggs' show.
I haven't mentioned it. Go ahead. Yeah, I haven't mentioned it yet.
Okay, so 8:00 this Sunday in a few days, we're going to be doing our Christmas party. Me, Anthony, Tommy Stiggs, Theendu, Vinny Bracco, and possibly BK Skip and Danny Stories.
Danny Stories too.
So, we're gonna have a full panel. And you know what? I was thinking of doing instead of Tiny Tim, Tiny Todd. I got the crutch
with the crutches.
Yep, I got the crutch. I got tattered clothes from my work. I can, you know what I mean. I think I can make this work. So,
well, you know what? Theendu would be a perfect Scrooge. He's got like the bald head. He's got the bald head. He's kind of like thin. Like.
We should try to find a rotten wig for him.
Yeah, like a rotten wig. It would be perfect.
So
I don't own a sweat. I don't own a stupid sweater or an ugly sweater, whatever you call it. I don't know.
I never owned one until tonight.
Yeah.
Because honestly, like when I talked to my one client who I'm doing a Christmas party for in a little while, once it should be next month. So once I told him, I said, what's the dress code going to be like? You know what I mean?
Right.
And he said, well, I'm wearing a funny cardigan and there's people wearing funny, the Christmas sweaters and the ugly ones. And when I did their party a few years back, they actually have a contest who has the ugliest sweater, who has the best Christmas get up. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So I said, you know what? Like I had nothing. My girls left the house tonight. My son was out shopping with his girlfriend. I said, you know what? I'm just going to go out. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So there's an All Things Buffalo store in this one plaza nearby. And I said, you know what? I'm going to stop by and just see what they got. You know what I mean? And they actually had an ugly sweater, like a Buffalo Bills theme ugly sweater. So nice. I grabbed it.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's good because you were motivated to do it because you needed it for this event. I don't wear sweaters to begin with, so
me either.
Because I'm way too hot for it.
Can you imagine me being a sweater guy?
But
yeah,
I just never went out and bought one. So I don't know. I'm going to see if I can find one tomorrow, maybe if I have some time. But
yeah, I mean, you could go anywhere like Walmart, Target, Kohl's, or you could just order one. But I mean, it's but I mean, with something like that, I had to try it on. You know what I mean?
Of
so
course, yeah.
But yeah, I'm actually, like I said, maybe I'll maybe I'll come in character with Tiny Todd in the show, and then I'll I'll turn the camera off, and and then I'll switch to my ugly sweater. So
Yeah. Yep.
but
Yeah. So no, I think it's going to be fun. It's going to be fun, and we're still going to do the Godfather show, I believe, on tomorrow, Sunday.
Sunday.
So the Godfather show at 2. So we'll still do that, and it'll be nice. 8 o'clock on Sunday, we'll get together and ring in the holiday season, so to speak. It'll be fun.
Oh, it's huge. Hang on one second. What's up, baby? All right, sorry. They just got home.
Oh, okay.
I didn't want the dogs barking like crazy. I'm
surprised they didn't start barking, right?
Yeah, well, I heard my wife's car come in the driveway, so I went in our bedroom instead of the living room, so I knew it was coming. Okay. I Tiny Tim'd over to my bedroom, so I hobbled over.
You have to say, "God bless us, everyone." That's what you have to say.
Should I embarrass myself even more right now? So I'm not a super tall guy, even at my age now. Right. So growing up, I was always smaller than most people. So I was in Scrooge as Tiny Tim.
Get out of here!
And I ended that freaking school play saying, "God bless us, everybody." I swear to God.
That is awesome.
Swear to God,
do you have pictures of this?
I would have to ask my mother.
Ask your mother.
But doubtful.
That would be great.
Doubtful.
That would be great.
But yeah, I can't believe I just said that.
That's great. I played Santa Claus twice in grammar school. I was the Santa Claus in kindergarten, and I was Santa Claus in 3rd grade. And I thought I was the shit, man. I thought I was the star of the show.
Oh yeah,
because it was the main character, man. That was awesome.
I played Dirty Laundry and what I think it was Cinderella or something. I think when I was in like 2nd grade. You know what I mean? Yeah, that was the extent of my my acting career. But yeah, it was a lot of fun. You know what I mean? But yeah, sure enough. Hey, Todd. You think you might want to play Tiny Tim? I said, do I? It's not like I didn't even have a choice. I was the guy. Yeah. You know what I mean? So, but. Yeah, that was fun.
Look at what Johnny doesn't believe you. He says he doesn't believe it, that you're not a super tall guy, and Silo says, give you little people a big what? Give you little people
big world, much respect.
Big world.
I give you little people in a big world, much respect.
In a big world, much respect.
Well, Jesus Christ, I'm not I'm trying not to swear here.
You're not a little person.
I'm not a dwarf. I wasn't one of the dwarves, for Christ's sake.
He's not tall. He's not a little person. Okay.
I'm average. But yeah. No, I'm not tall by any means, Johnny. Nope.
I don't think any of us are tall, really. I mean, well, Dean Do is not tall. I'm not tall. You're not tall. Stiggs is probably the tallest out of the group.
Yeah. So. Yeah, maybe.
5'11", I think he is, something like that.
But yeah,
my kid's a little bit taller than I mean, my kids my kids are 6 feet. My younger son is 6 foot, and my older son is 5'11". So I'm glad they got more of it than I ever got.
Yeah, my son, God bless him, he's taller than me. Thank God. God he got my grandfather's gene.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? But yeah, I don't love you, Tony Silo, by the way.
That is funny.
But yeah.
So let me ask you, what do you think of the Bill Murray movie, Scrooge? You ever see that?
I watched it. When did I watch? I literally watched it, I think last weekend. Oh. I saw it come across I think it was the Fire Stick.
Yeah.
And I'm like, you know what? I'm like, I want to watch this. My wife's like, all right, and I haven't seen that movie in a long time. Mm-hmm. And man, there's so much stuff I missed.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? As an adult,
a lot of funny, subtle things in there, right?
Oh yeah, big time.
Yeah. because I actually went to the movies to see that as a kid, and I never caught half of the things that go
Like,
on in that.
even in the very beginning of the movie when she called him Lumpy, like I always
Mhm.
wonder why the hell is she calling him Lumpy?
Right.
You know what I mean? I missed that. You know what I mean? And obviously I figured it out why. When I
Mhm.
watched it the other day, but it was good. It was really good. Just shooting he took out his revolver and started shooting the ghost, and all dust was shooting all over the
Yeah.
place. It was
Yep.
just, I don't know. I didn't remember a lot of those little parts. You know what
Yeah.
I mean?
Yep. Yep.
So, why the little his assistant's son didn't talk for all those years. I didn't really remember why. And
Mhm.
then it said, because he saw his father,
Right. Yep.
get murdered or whatever. But like little stuff like that, it was a nice refresher.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I
No,
do like that movie. I
I think it's
do.
good. That's a good, and it's not meant to be. It's funny, you know what I mean. But it also has a serious connotation too, because it's true. It's trying to stick to the original story with a funny context. So it's a good movie.
Well, yeah, because the guy thought he was super important and he missed all the
Yep.
little things in his life. You know what I mean? And realized where he screwed up
Yep.
and what his future would be like if he didn't make a change.
Yeah. Exactly.
So.
Kelly says she's never seen the movie. We're
Oh
talking,
yeah.
Johnny. We're talking about Scrooge with Bill Murray for a second. Yeah, that if it's easy. You can get it easy on any cable system. You can get it, and it's probably going to be in rotation on one of those channels too.
You know
Um,
who cracked me up in that movie a lot too was that Bobcat Goldthwait. I think that's
yeah,
his name.
right.
Oh, he did so good with his character. I loved it.
Yeah,
The disgruntled employee. It's
right,
like, oh,
right.
he's telling him about what he thinks he should change, and Bill Murray's
You
like,
can't
oh,
do
okay,
that. You can't do
yeah.
that. You're gonna
He's like,
scare people.
gets on the phone. He goes, yeah, have him out of here in 5 minutes, please. Call security, and yeah, just get him out.
Right.
Just for sharing his opinion.
Yes.
But man, Cooper was all calm and nice, laying on the couch, and now my wife got home, and
He's all
I don't know.
hyped up, right?
Oh yeah, he's fired up. He's brutal. So, but yeah, I'm looking forward to Sunday night. I think that's going to be a good time. Um, we'll I don't know. We'll make a good time out of it, I guess.
Oh yeah. I mean, I have no idea what we're gonna do, but
Eggnog for everybody. Let's get smashed on eggnog.
yeah. Well, yeah. I mean,
No.
we could do that.
You know what though? Like I can sip eggnog, but maybe a half a cup or something, but I can't drink it. I can't like have a lot. Not that it's not, you're not supposed to have a lot of it. I understand,
Yeah.
but even this, it's too rich for me.
Yeah. I
You know what I
had
mean?
a glass of it. I just had a glass, and I'm already feeling it in my stomach. I'm all bloated from it. Like it just lays on your stomach.
Oh, that's
So
enough. You're done. It's over.
yeah. But yeah, George C. Scott, that he did a good job. I remember that one too. I remember that version where he plays Scrooge. He does a good job. There's also a version where, I mean, there's so many versions. There's the Jim Carrey one. I didn't care for. I didn't care for that, the digital thing. I didn't like that. There was one with the guy from Star Trek. What was his name? Forgot his name. The guy that plays Picard in the second Star Treks, the whatever that's called, the Star Trek: The New Generation. He played Picard.
Yeah,
Captain.
you're asking the wrong dude.
He's a famous English actor. So he did one. He did one version of it. I'm trying to think who else. There were some cheesier versions. There was a cheesy version where Henry Winkler played Scrooge. I remember that one. That was like a TV
Really?
movie.
The Fonz did?
Yeah, the Fonz. Yeah. Yep.
Wow.
Yep. There was one where Michael Caine. It was the Muppet version. Michael Caine played Scrooge in the Muppet version.
Wow.
I'm just trying to think what else there were.
Well,
But there was
maybe we should do a reenactment of Scrooge, all of us on
a full
Sunday.
reenactment.
I mean, people say our show's scripted. Might as well,
Oh yeah,
knock it out of the park, for a scene.
Are they still saying it? Scripted?
No. I'm just making fun of it.
Please.
But yeah, it's yeah, I think, yeah, maybe we should come in some sort of character. I think that would be fun. I'm coming in with crutches. I got news for you. So
Yeah. Albert Finney. Albert Finney did one too. Albert Finney. Yeah. So there's so many versions of it, but I like the old one, the Alistair Sims one. That one's the best version in my opinion.
Now let me ask you this: do you like the Lampoon's Christmas Vacation?
I kind of like it. I kind of like it. It's not like a go-to movie for me for Christmas.
It is.
I
It
like
is in this household.
I like it. Yeah.
I love it. I can recite that whole movie. So
You know what I love? A Christmas Story. I love that movie. A Christmas Story.
Yep.
I love that.
Yep.
That I could watch that over and over and over again. I love where he goes. What does he say? He says, "Fragile must be Italian." I love that line.
So even in that movie, there's a lot of subliminal, like holy, like stuff that they said. That's like, oh my god, I never realized. You know what I mean? Like that wasn't a a fully G-rated movie. Is all I'm saying.
No, yeah. You're right.
When I met my wife, her uncle, which is kind of like her second father, he reminded me of Uncle Lewis in the Christmas Store, or I'm sorry,
really?
Christmas Vacation, where he's like the blessing, you know what I mean, like
yes. Yep.
Oh, so I ever since I met my wife, I said, yeah, it's Uncle Lewis. It's not Uncle Mickey, it's Uncle Lewis. Yeah, he cracks me up to this day. Yeah, he's 86. He's 86 years old. God bless him.
That's great. Home Alone is a Christmas movie. Both of them are Christmas movies. Home Alone, Home Alone 2. What else? He says, Gianni, I think it's 34th Street, not 29th Street. It's Miracle on 34th Street. You have It's a Wonderful Life, 29th Street. I don't know. Is that what you mean? Miracle on 34th Street? Is that what you're talking about?
I think that's what he means. He's got to mean that.
Yeah.
A couple of the other movies we watch every year is Four Christmases with Vince Vaughn and Reese Witherspoon.
I've never seen that.
Oh my god, it's funny. You got to have a certain humor for that. It's kind of like a Lampoon sort of style, but it is funny. And The Family Stone, that's a little more serious movie, but it is a comedy. Right. But The Family Stone is a very good movie, and I can't remember.
Johnny says it's an actual movie, the 29th. He says Danny Aiello's in it. I don't know.
Well, I know which one he's talking about, where he hits the lottery at the end. But is it 29th Street? I have to look that up.
I don't have to look for it.
Hang on, I want to ask my wife one more question because I want to spit out one more movie. I can't think of it off the top of my head. But yeah, like I said, we usually watch The Family Stone, Christmas Vacation, A Christmas Story, Four Christmases. Hang on, I got to ask her what the other one is.
Elf. Kelly says Elf. Elf is a hilarious. That movie is just funny. It's so funny, that movie.
It's called The Holiday. It's with like Cameron Diaz, Jack Black. Who else? Who's the girl from Titanic? Kate Winslet.
Yes.
Yeah, that's a pretty good movie too. Now everyone's gonna think I'm soft now watching all these girly movies.
You know what? Talking about other things that like It's a Wonderful Life. Is the classic Christmas movie, but it always wasn't a classic Christmas movie. It bombed in the theaters when it first came out, and then it wasn't really seen until the early 80s. It gained popularity, which is so fascinating to me. It was made in 1946, and it was like 40 years before it really became the holiday staple that it turned into. That it's on every Christmas Eve. That stuff is just fascinating to me. How something like that happens. And that movie, I love the parts in there with the Italians in that movie where the old man, the bad guy, Potter, he says to George Bailey, he says, "You spend your life playing nursemaid to a bunch of garlic eaters." Like that stuff, like you never would see that in a movie today, anything like that.
Right.
Never seen anything like that. And that was real. Like that's realistic. Like that's the way it was. That's what
Yep.
they would. That's what they would say. Stuff like
No
that.
doubt.
They say that stuff. Um,
So Gina says try the ref, so I'll have to try that. Elf is another very good one, but
hilarious.
I can't watch. You know what? I can only watch Elf maybe once every 5 years, if that, just because Will Ferrell is just too over the top in that movie, and it's just
Well, I tell you what, that movie. I don't even think of it as a Christmas movie. I just think it's funny, even though I know it's obviously a Christmas movie. It's it's all about Christmas, but
funny how.
It's how funny how funny how he no just and it's the way he acts like a child. It just gets me. I just think it's hysterical the way he acts. And you're right, it is over the top, but that's why I think it's funny because it's over the top.
Right.
He acts. And then you have what's his name? You had in there too. You had what's his name? Sonny in that.
James Caan. Yeah, James Caan was in that movie. Yeah.
Baywatcher says 4 Christmases. I think you mentioned that.
That's the one with Vince Vaughn and Reese Witherspoon. Robert Duvall's in that movie, Anthony.
Oh, is he? Okay.
He is. He's the father. He's Vince Vaughn's father in that movie. He's hilarious.
Okay.
I know. Silo, listen, I've been hitting all the Hallmark. I've been home for 5 weeks. I've been watching everything. Hallmark movies, Lifetime.
Mm-hmm.
I've been pretty bored. But
let's see what else is going on in the chat here. Silo's talking about the Lifetime movies.
Yeah, that's why I said that.
Lifetime is insane. You know who's also insane? What's the American Family? That's another insane channel. They start playing those Christmas movies in October, and it's 25.
Oh yeah,
25
no doubt.
Since October. I'll
tell you what. The Hallmark movies is you're 5 minutes in, you could already tell the whole plot. You could just do it yourself. Save yourself the time. Come back at the ending.
It's amazing how they could shoot so many of them. How can they make so many of them? It's just crazy. It's the same script every time.
Because people watch them.
Yeah.
And you know what's horrible? Like my wife always says with these Hallmark movies, she goes, I decorate and I try to make the house look great, and then I turn on Hallmark and it's like, hit.
You look like a fool, right?
It's like, okay.
Yeah.
Everything's too perfect on those movies. Too perfect.
Obviously perfect. Obvious. Oh man.
Too perfect. Hallmark movie. Then you go in my front lawn, and all the decorations I put out the other week blew over from the 50-mile-an-hour winds. All over the yard, just scattered everywhere. Oh, it's funny.
Johnny says White Christmas is one I remember from my childhood. My parents always watched it. I don't like that movie.
I've never seen that movie.
It's with Bing Crosby, and who's the other person in there? Bing Crosby and Danny Kaye, I think. I never liked it, Johnny. I don't know if you liked it. You said that your parents always watched it, but I don't. I never liked it. I never got into it. I always watched Miracle on 34th Street. Always watched that, the original one, the 1947 one. Always watched that one. And that's really the movie that made me want to become an attorney, believe it or not. That movie, when I was a kid, I wanted to defend Santa Claus in court. So that's where I got the idea of becoming a lawyer, from that movie.
So Johnny was right. It was 29th Street. It's called
29th Street.
That's actually a pretty good movie. It is.
Mm-hmm.
It was I don't want to give it away, but if you have time,
I'll look for it.
If you want to watch it, I haven't seen it in a very long time, but I remember watching that movie with my dad growing up. Mm-hmm. So, but that is a good movie. It hits home on a lot of things. So,
what is this, Tony? I don't know what Tony the Night Owl. That's really low, stealing other kids. I don't know what you're talking about.
Paul said that. Paul said that he had a sad Christmas story when his house was broken into Christmas night in the 70s.
Oh, jeez. Yeah, that's tough. That's really tough.
That's
and then of course you have all of the kids movies, which are, you can watch them.
Oh, the Rudolph, the Frosty the Snowman. Yep.
Watch them over and over again. The one that I think is my favorite is The Year Without a Santa Claus. Do you know which one that is?
I don't know.
That's the one with the heat miser and the snow miser. Did you ever see that one?
Probably.
It's they sing these songs. I mean, I always loved it when I was a kid. I always loved it. It was just I could watch that a million times.
My daughter's on the other phone. Hang on, I'll mute
Here,
her.
yeah. So yeah, Gina, you're talking about The Ref. Now, you're saying The Ref is a Christmas movie? The Ref? Okay. All right.
So, in your part of town, Anthony, when do they begin to play Christmas music?
Who's they? You mean like the radio? Or?
Your local radio stations.
After Thanksgiving, like it's after Thanksgiving usually, and it's but it's only one station. It's like the Light FM station, I think, is the one.
We have two stations that play it, and I'm telling you, as soon as midnight hits on Thanksgiving, it's just like I remember, you know, it was like December 1st. It felt like they would always start that.
Right
now it's you know minimum Thanksgiving minimum.
Mm-hmm.
Unbelievable. Can't handle it.
Well, yeah, I mean, and then if you have Sirius, you know, it's 24/7, 365 days a year. Like those channels are there.
Of course. Oh yeah. I like my Elvis Christmas. That's my favorite one.
Blue Christmas.
That's my Blue? Well, it's his Christmas album. You know, Blue Christmas is it? You know, Blue Christmas is one of probably his most popular song.
Yeah.
But like just the whole album is great.
The Grinch, you know, the Grinch. There've been so many Grinches, they've destroyed that. I mean, the cartoon was classic. The cartoon was great, but then the Jim Carrey thing was annoying, and then they redid it again. I mean, they got to beat everything to death. Beat it to death.
Yeah. Oh, we forgot all about this one. Tony Silo brought that up. Charlie Brown.
Oh, of course.
Totally forgot about that.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Holy. Good call. Yeah, the day after Thanksgiving. Yeah, it's. I do not remember that being played after Thanksgiving growing up. I always thought it was a strict December thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, but, this is the other thing I never understood is that they play Christmas music from Thanksgiving to Christmas Day, right? Then they stop. Like, why wouldn't you continue to play it until New Year's? And in fact, the 12 days of Christmas starts on 12 days of Christmas starts on Christmas. It's the 12 days out. It's from Christmas to January 6th, which is the Epiphany, when the wise men come to visit the Christ child. That's the 12 days of Christmas. But no one recognizes that anymore. Like that was the original. That was originally the Christmas season. Like they didn't do anything before Christmas back in the day, like in the 1800s. Everything started on Christmas and went to January 6th. That was the Christmas season. It's just strange how cultures change things like that.
Reggiani's comment.
No disrespect meant. This one?
Yeah.
John Muir painted himself green. He could play the.
He wouldn't even have to put a costume on. He put a hat and a coat on, and it'd be over with. That was great.
That's a good one. What else is going on here? Michael Imperial from The Sopranos could play Joey. Yeah, I guess so. He could.
Yeah, he's such a. I can't take him serious anymore. Not that I can even take him serious when he was on Sopranos because he was just a skinny little nothing. Yeah. But like he's such a. I don't even want to get into it, but he's very, very liberal and just.
Is he really? I don't know anything.
Oh, he's. I'm trying my hardest not to swear here, but he's brutal.
Yeah,
he is.
I don't use for him either.
I follow him on Instagram, so it's like I see this stuff and I'm like, really, really.
Well, you know, when you're a B-list actor like he is, you better be liberal, or you're not going to get any work at all.
You're right. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Yeah. Baywatcher says he likes the one computer Grinch. He usually doesn't like that. I don't know what he's talking about.
Computer Grinch, I think, is the latest one that they
Oh, is it?
created years ago. They redid it. They redid it like computer animation. It's all animation. So and I don't know. I've never watched it, so I don't know if it's true to the original story or not, or if it's different. I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah, Johnny said that. Yep. He agrees.
Oh,
Yeah,
this yeah, this
he's
is
a
a
weirdo.
Hanukkah. This Hanukkah movie. I I never watched it. I've never watched it. So I don't know. I don't know if it's any good.
Yep, I wouldn't know.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, listen. I support any holidays. You know, like obviously I'm not Jewish, but I've always supported my friends that celebrated it, and
Oh,
I think it's
absolutely.
great. I think it's great that you have a holiday that you celebrate. I always say that because in modern days they try to knock everything traditional. They try to knock everything, make everything secular. You can't have anything that is not secular. No, I don't buy into that. So,
It's so sad that like when I'm on the microphone at a Christmas party, I say Happy Holidays now. I don't say Merry Christmas no more because I just don't want to. You just never know. You know what I mean? Because there's always that one, like we were talking about before. There's always that one person who's going to stick out, and
yeah. But
So
it's usually
I
not. And this is. I'll just throw this in as my experience. It's usually not a Jewish person that complains. It's usually a left-wing atheist.
oh yeah, oh no doubt. They seen a post that somebody was offended, so they jump
Yeah,
on the bandwagon.
yeah,
Yeah,
yep,
yep. So yeah, so even something small as that on
hmm
the microphone when I'm out doing my thing, like I have to
right.
watch what I say, and in a lot of cases, and that's not even just it's a lot. There's a lot other things I got to be careful of too. So
hmm Of course you do, right? And I mean, and the other thing is, I never understood people that get offended when someone wishes them a Merry Christmas or wishes them whatever. Because if
right,
someone said to me Happy Hanukkah, I'd say thank you. I don't celebrate it, but thank you. That's a nice sentiment. You're wishing me good wishes. Why would I get offended by that? I never understood that at all. I don't get it. I don't get it. And I never will.
because people can't agree to disagree anymore, and they can't
Mm-hmm.
respect other people's opinions. You
Mm-hmm.
know what I mean? It just tears up friendships, relative relationships. It's a whole
Right.
different world. You know what I mean? It sucks that you got to
Tony
keep your
says,
mouth shut on a good gesture.
Tony Night Owl says, I'm Jewish in belief. Don't do Christmas, but to each their own. I still give to the kids and the family. Yeah. Why wouldn't you? Right? It's a season of giving. Why wouldn't you participate in that? It just I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't get people. I really don't. But you're right. It's the culture. It's the modern culture of divisionism. Everything is division, and who's going to one up the other, and
it's
who's
really,
going to
really,
be
really unfortunate.
yeah.
I mean, when I had kids or my kids, and with yours, you never thought we'd be
Mhm.
where we're at today. You know
No,
what I mean? I don't want to make this like a damper on the show or
no,
nothing,
no,
but
no, no. It's just a
it's just
passing thought. It's just a passing.
yeah. But my son, he's got a girlfriend. He's 15. It's his first girlfriend, so
hmm
he went out shopping with her and her mother today, and it was kind of
Nice.
nice. You know what I
Yeah, that's
mean?
nice. Yeah.
So it's we're he's becoming a young adult, and it's just all new thing.
Yep.
So yeah, it was but for a while I was by myself. Now everybody's home. I want to throw everybody out now.
Um,
Go back out. I want to tell them, go back out. I want to stay here by myself. Get
well, I didn't
back
want
out.
to be
Go on.
judged, but here, this Baywatcher, you're going to be judged for this one. I didn't want to be judged, but I like the Arnold Christmas movie with Sinbad.
I'm no judgment here, man. No judgment here. It's all good. It's all good.
Well, you're good for you. You go watch it.
Listen,
You go watch it.
Baywatcher, I came out on this show and admitted I was Tiny Tim in the elementary school play. Okay, so it's okay. We're all expressing ourselves here.
Yep.
That's enough. People are gonna be picking that. I'm not even gonna say it because then it'll happen for sure. There'll be 19,000 memes of me, Tiny Tim now.
Yeah.
But that's funny.
Tony says her grandson is 15, but I don't see any of his girlfriends yet. If he's looking, he isn't telling me. Well, yeah, that's the way it is sometimes, Tony. I mean, my kids are that way. Like everything's a secret from me. I don't
Oh
lie.
yeah.
I
Oh
don't lie.
no doubt.
but everything's a
No
secret.
doubt. So with homecoming a few months back, I said, "Hey,
Mhm.
are you going? Did you ask anybody to go with you?" And he's like, "No, I'm going with my friends."
Mm,
And that was it. Like, in other words, I'm not talking about anything else about this.
right, right,
Literally a few days later, "Hey, Dad, you think you could, take me out and buy me a suit?" I said, "Okay." Did you ask somebody? Yeah, I have a girl, and we're going as my date. It's okay,
right,
no
right.
problem. You know what I mean? And
Hmm.
they've been together since. I made them pizzas
Yeah.
last Friday night. They came, she came over here, and you know,
Yep.
but but yeah. So it's gradual, and but it feels gradual, but it's happening very fast. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
It's really, and then you got three kids. You said that are very
Yep.
close in age, and
Yeah.
it's all college now. It's
Hmm.
crazy. So God bless you.
Gianni says, I've been a child and experiencing Christmas in Sicily and then in America. I have much better memories of Christmas here than there. Okay.
Yeah,
That's well, I guess it's probably, I mean, I don't know. I shouldn't say that because I've never been there or experienced it, but I can tell you from my in-laws that they're not as celebratory around Christmas as Americans are. And they're from Sicily and they don't, like they don't decorate a lot. They put up a Christmas tree if we harass them, if the kids harass them to put up the Christmas tree. Otherwise, they wouldn't even put up a Christmas tree. They put a wreath on the door,
yeah.
and that's it really. And then it's all about, they're big into the dinners, Christmas Eve dinner, Christmas dinner, like that stuff. They're big into, but they're not big into decorating. So I don't know if that's common or that's just them, but
Yeah, I wouldn't know.
yeah.
My
But I hear you,
all
John.
my
I hear
all
you.
my grandparents were gone, so I didn't. I never met any of them.
Yeah.
They all
Well,
died
my
very young.
grandfather, my grandfather, I'm not Sicilian at all, but
I don't think I am either.
but my grandfather was big into Christmas. I mean, he was born in Italy, and he came here he came here like Vito Corleone. He came here when he was 8 years old, and
Was his last name like Palermo or Naples or?
no, they didn't change his name. They
Oh,
didn't
okay.
change his
All
name.
right.
No, they didn't. He came too late for that. He came in 1925. Like
Wow.
it was at the very end of Ellis Island. It was like, kind of closed down after that. So, by that time they got past the mixing up of the names. But
That's crazy.
uh yeah, so let's see, what is Johnny says in Italy it's much more church oriented and here it's much more fun oriented. Okay. All right. Yeah, well, listen, I get not going to church on Christmas because it's mobbed. I mean, I go to church every Sunday. I do. It's just something that I do because I like doing it. I like going Sunday nights. That's when I go. There's not many people there. It's quiet. It gets me to um, relax. It gets me to, it's like time to myself. I mean, the kids come with me sometimes, and my wife comes sometimes. They don't come all the time,
No,
but I always go.
I don't go to church very often at all, but when I do, it is very cleansing. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's something that I do for me, really. It's something that I do
Yeah.
because I like it. I like the quiet of it, the relaxing nature of it and such. And but on holidays like Easter, I will not go on Easter and I will not go on Christmas because it's a
Right.
disaster area.
Well, because everybody feels guilty about not going all year long,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
then they mob the church on them
yeah.
holidays.
Yep.
And I'm not gonna say I'm not guilty of it. I remember
Yeah.
oh no, I don't even want to talk about it. But we went Christmas Eve night, midnight mass, and we were out the bar beforehand.
Well,
You
listen,
know what I mean?
that's kind of cool though. Like I get that. I get you do that, but it's just and I'm not judging people at all. I'm not saying you have to go to church. I would never say that at all.
Right,
That's not me
of
at
course.
all. I'm just saying it just annoys me because it's something I like to do, but when there's all those people there, it ruins the experience for me. So that's why I don't go. But,
Yeah, it's all like I said, it's all the guilty people
yeah.
who who won't go to church every Sunday or Saturday or whatever, but
Hmm.
yet, oh my God, I'm a Catholic. I have to go on Christmas. You know what I mean? Like,
Right. Right.
yeah. So
Right.
so
Let's see. What is
that's
Gianni
great.
saying here? Yeah, I missed that. Something about feasts. We had so many feasts and special days back home. Yeah, and in Italy, they celebrate a lot of like name days. They celebrate of the saints. They celebrate them. It's like a big feast all the time. So there's plenty of things there. So I could see why Christmas is not that as big from a celebratory side, because there's so many other things that happen throughout the year. I get it. But all right. All right. Well, listen, we've been on for an hour and a half, and
Holy, really? All right, cool.
I'm going to call it quits for the night. But
Yeah.
I want to thank you for joining. It was nice to have.
Oh, no
somebody to
problem. It was
chat
good. I felt like I needed to come on and give you your kudos there, and we had a nice conversation about movies and music and everything else. So it was definitely a great show. And yeah,
And we'll just
everybody,
plug
please
again. We'll plug Sunday
what-
again. We'll plug it.
You want me to plug it?
Yeah, go ahead, plug it again.
Oh, all right. So Sunday night on Tommy Stiggs' show. So everybody keep an eye out for on the community tabs. I'm sure we'll all post it. So it's going to be me, Anthony, Tommy Stiggs, Steendu, BK Skip, who else? Vinny Bracco, and I feel like I'm missing somebody. Am I missing somebody?
Danny.
Danny Stories. Okay, yeah, I'm sorry, Danny. But yeah, so we're gonna put on a show at 8:00 this Sunday night, and yeah, everybody be there, or you're not cool. Okay, so it's where all the cool kids are gonna be on Sunday night, 8:00.
Be there or be square, I guess is the term used.
The eggnog's going to be flowing. There's going to be mass ball busting, and yeah, it's going to be fun. We don't know what we're doing yet. There's no discussions except for what time we were going on. So
yes. So thank you guys in the chat. Thank you, Tony, Paul, Baywatcher, Osada's chocolates. I'm telling you, get them if you can. Get it. I hope he gets his website up and going, because that's some good stuff. That's some great.
So Osada, I put in the chat earlier, if you need a guy to build you a website, I got a guy. You know what I mean? So he did my my site for my business. So if you don't know anybody and you're kind of stuck, reach out to me. My email's in my my description in my page there, and I'd be happy to help you out. So.
Yeah, it's some good stuff. It really is. So I would pursue that, Osada. If you don't have somebody, look up Todd's guy, because it's definitely worth doing. I'm telling you.
No doubt.
But anyway, thank you all, Gianni, everybody that stopped in and just hung out with us and chatted a little bit. It's really appreciated. So
great show.
Well, thank you, and I hope you learned a little bit about Scrooge and Dickens while we at it. It's a good, good topic time of year to do. So I thought it was fun, and we'll see you on Sunday, hopefully. So as always, thank you for joining, and we'll go out with my intro, which I'm going to add here. There we go. Have a great night.